two, we're going to be treating it with a very different angle. One, we're going to be talking about diamonds. So we did gold. A lot of people have done gold. So many people have done gold. Another thing is we're going to find out what EndMaker is going to be doing in the space of real-world assets, which for anyone in Cardano who's seen them be around as long as they have, this should be very interesting to you. We're going to have two people talking about the B2B infrastructure it takes in order to get people to deploy real-world assets in the real world. And we're also going to be looking at a variety of other assets that can be done in terms of real estate, in terms of other things. One of the things to consider that may not get talked about today is attention, right? The fact that you are here sitting in a seat and listening to this topic is valuable to people. And the more traceability and the more certification we can get about the kind of customer that you might be, the more valuable that attention is. So I would not be surprised in the very near future to see a tokenization of specialized attention that people pay quite a bit of money for, because nothing's sweeter than closing a sale much more easily with someone who intends to buy, right? I'd love to welcome our next panelists on stage. It looks like we've got all our seats in place. Please come join us.
I guess we're all settled. Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining our panel again on real-world assets. Real-world assets, they bridge the physical and the digital realms together, and we'll be jumping into how we are tokenizing them, distribution, and we have an exceptional panel today here to speak about their collective roles in their businesses and how they are contributing to the future of real-world assets. So I have a question for everybody in regards to your own companies and what roles they are playing when it comes to tokenizing assets.
Okay, I should start, okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my name is Patrick. I'm the founder and CEO of EndMaker. And what EndMaker does is basically we're a tokenization infrastructure platform. So we build the tech that actually helps businesses launch their own tokens, NFTs, whatever they like, right? And we started very early on with the NFT hype and craze and realized very quickly, okay, this is not very sustainable. We need to find something in crypto that actually makes sense. So we pivoted more and more towards real-world assets. And we actually decided to launch a tokenization platform on top of our infrastructure called Panelist Investments, where we are tokenizing those real-world assets. So we tokenized gold on Cardano. That's actually the first gold product on Cardano at all a few weeks ago. We tokenized granite. I think Rahul can talk about that more. We tokenized diamonds, and we're doing a lot of really interesting things. So I'm very excited to bring real-world assets to Cardano.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Rahul, CEO and founder of Tech. As Patrick recently mentioned, regarding tokenization of real-world assets, we are the facilitator. Based in India, and we're primarily focused in India, and we are, as I said, we are a facilitator, and we have something around $289 million of real-world assets under our belt in collaboration with few companies like Godavari and NCD, so that we are planning to tokenize real-world assets. That is our major goal as of now. Yes.
Hello, my name is Steven. I'm running Diamonds. Diamonds is the largest platform globally for tokenized real-world diamonds, with over 14,000 diamonds available for investment as of now. Basically, Diamonds launched more than 2 years ago, and we started by looking at the legal framework first. So once we were all settled on that part, we started developing the product, the marketplace, and basically we launched first on Ethereum. And last year, at the summit itself, we launched on Cardano with the help of Patrick and EndMaker. And during that year also, we looked at other blockchains, and we were the first real-world asset project on XRPL, so the XRP ledger. We launched on Polygon as well with wrapped NFTs. And as of last week or 10 days ago, we did another partnership with Endmaker and with an artist, Oremop, where we tokenized real-world assets that are really branded with that artistic view, and it's launched on Cardano and Solana at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Benoit, a partnership guy at StableMint. So StableMint is a European-based EMI, so stablecoin issuer, supervised by the MFSA. So we're backed by CoinShares, which is one of the pioneers in the digital asset space, who's been offering since 2013 ways for institutional investors to get exposure to digital asset without having the complexities of direct ownership. So actually a bit similar to Diamonds, the visions we had was first to sort out the whole legal side and complementary side. So what we've done is we are launching now USD and Euro MiCA compliant stablecoin, which is very big for obviously Europe with MiCA around the corner, and we ambition to hopefully launch quite a few more in the coming years. So very happy to be here.
Hey everybody. Is that, oh, I gotta do more. Okay. Yeah, my name is Dan Friedman. I am the founder and CEO of Zengate Global, and we built a platform called the Palmyra platform, which is well, essentially it's a tokenized commodities trading platform that is aimed for matching producers to buyers. And what essentially we do is we, excuse me. Sorry, it's been 2.5 weeks since I had a cold, and for some reason I just can't get over it. It must love me a lot. And so what we do is we tokenize provenance. And what that means is everything that attributed to the life cycle of the commodity, starting from especially in the case of soft commodities, literally the creation of it, right? So the place where it grows, the harvesting of it, the processing of it, then the shipment, distribution, storage, everything is always kind of an intricate web of information that goes on chain. And this information is then tokenized, and it follows the actual asset itself. And this is, I mean, this is really kind of the next step in the evolution of commodities for many reasons. Well, first of all, it's all about transparency. There are many commodities in the world that are suffering from secondary knockoff markets that have been created because there's lack of transparency and there's lack of availability for transparency. For example, Greek olive oil, which is a commodity we just onboarded onto Palmyra a few weeks ago. Their main issue was that even though there's a lot of Greek olive oil, real Greek olive oil out there, a lot of it doesn't make its way to where Greek olive oil supposedly is sold because there's so many knockoffs and there's so many sources that say it's Greek olive oil, but it's not. So this has a real impact and negative impact on producers in Greece that are basically cut off from market access, have to sell their product at a lower price to compete with somebody who says that they have the same product and they don't, but they just offer a lower price and nobody has a way to check that. So again, provenance is a commodity of its own, and so that is the approach that we've taken to kind of making what I like to call RWI, real world impact. And for myself and for my team, really that's what it's all about. The reason why I got into RWAs was my work at Input Output. So some of you might know this, some of you might not, but I was one of the first members of Input Output back in 2016, and this was about 2 years before we launched Cardano. And so I was kind of there at the very beginning when there was no business development, when nobody knew Cardano, nobody even knew how to spell Cardano. And
people still don't know that.
People still don't know, but at least they misspell it a lot closer to what it is. At least it's not like Cordova anymore. It's, Cardanzo or whatever, but very close, really close. And so what we did quite a bit in those days is we just went to the source, right? We went to countries like Mongolia, like Georgia, where real-world solutions were needed, and worked with these developing economies because that's where the most impact is made, just in blockchain in general, and specifically with real-world applications. So things like credentials and things like RWA tokenization. Now, back then, 2017, 2018 was still kind of early. And back then, even back then, we were talking about tokenizing, tokenizing different assets, tokenizing commodities, tokenizing real estate, but it was just way too early. Even back then, we had the NFT, but they didn't even know what that thing did. Nobody really cared about it. And then all of a sudden, everybody cared about it. But throughout my entire tenure at Input Output, and then later on, basically when I decided to kind of embark on my own journey with Zengate, I always felt that really what satisfies me in my work is working in these economies where real world impact can be had. And real world asset tokenization always seemed like the thing that really does it. You know, you talk to the farmer, you talk to the producer, you talk to the broker, you talk to these guys that actually utilize this, that a lot of times they don't really care about what chain it's on. They just care about the fact that it kind of gives them a wider market access. It makes their business easier. It streamlines a lot of things that they have to kind of do just at random. You know,
Yes.
it's digitization, just in general process streamlining. So I guess that's where RWI comes into play, and that's what really is what drives the passion behind Palmyra and the Zengate team.
Thank you. And speaking of transparency, and when it comes to infrastructure, I would like to bring it back to Mr. Tobler regarding EndMaker and the type of infrastructure that you provide for businesses. Would you like to touch on upcoming projects and how you play a role in those?
Sure. Yeah, so EndMaker at its core is basically a tool that anyone can use to launch their own tokens, be it NFTs, fungible tokens, real-world asset. It really doesn't matter for the tool. It's all, very much the same on Cardano, which is very powerful, actually, because we use this Cardano native token standard. And what we are focused on is we are basically trying to work with as many projects that can deliver solutions, like all the ones sitting here, where we can have those real-world impacts. We are really interested in taking our infrastructure and working with businesses that just push basically the space forward. And maybe because you asked for upcoming projects, what we've done in the past is we tokenized granite, so we tokenized commodities in India, which I'm really passionate about, but I'll leave it to Rahul to talk about that. And we tokenized gold, right, which I think is a very basic kind of thing that like a building block that you see on all the different blockchains at this point with Tether Gold, Pax Gold, and so on. And very important for DeFi, of course, and for like off-ramping from, ADA all-time high, hopefully someday to a more stable asset. And the next step for us is we really want to focus on bringing securities to chain, particularly to Cardano, because we think that's really interesting. Like tokenizing actual stocks is next up in the roadmap, and obviously MiCA compliant. We're based in Germany with Finest and with EndMaker in Switzerland, so very, very compliance focused, and hopefully we can launch that in 6 to 12 weeks.
Ambitious.
Next year.
Yeah, I always say 6 weeks, but in reality it's probably like 6 months. We'll see.
Ambitious. And so it seems that you have done some work with Rahul as well, and I would love to hear about your ventures in India and if there's been maybe any unique challenges when it comes to tokenizing assets in India.
What we actually endure is the problems where people should understand what India is going through. So the major problem for us is we need to explain what's happening in India to the world. So that is our major issue. And compliance and the jurisdictions are fine with India. We're okay with tackling all of that through our law firm. But the major problem, what we generally face is we need to explain what is actually happening in India to the world. So the whole world mostly doesn't know what's happening in India. That's vice versa. So that is the major challenge what we faced while launching Granite last time with Finest and Maker. And even Patrick visited India, and he also saw the granite mines, and we had a long discussion about how do we tokenize this and how do we make it compliant, where we also have geo locations where we lock geolocations where the compliance is not going through for the countries. For example, last time for the USA we didn't do that, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so these are the major issues what we face, and we need to explain our investors that the granite is actually there, and we need to answer them every question. That is the major issue or the major concern where we talk much about. Yeah,
And maybe, sorry to jump in there, but
that's
maybe
fine.
to expand on that, I think what's really interesting for me from, I live in Switzerland,
Yeah,
I live in a first world country. I spent a few months in India with you last year, or this year actually, and India is probably one of the most interesting countries in the world right now because there's so much economic growth and there's so much happening there, and it's a lot more stable politically speaking than for example like all of Africa,
yeah,
right? So there's a lot of opportunity, but it's very difficult as like a foreign person to experience or invest or participate in this opportunity. So that's why when we tokenize it and we make it accessible to the world, we can solve two problems. We can basically bring liquidity into India, and we can work and provide new investment opportunities for like other countries, right?
exactly, exactly. And Patrick mentioned that India is actually a growing country, and we are the fifth biggest economy in the world right now, which most of the people don't know. And it's a rapid growing country, and we are primarily focused in India. And as I told before, we are a proper uh, real world asset provider or a facilitator from India, primarily only focused in India. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I know we touched on compliance, and I believe, Stephen, you might have some interesting touch points when it comes to compliance, especially with your RWAs of diamonds. I would love to hear more.
Yeah, maybe to jump on what you just said now, so that global opportunity first in the diamond industry, in the investment of diamond, I need to give you a brief overview of the diamond industry first. So the diamond industry has a global market of 95 billion yearly. So when you look at that, 75% goes into jewelry. So necklaces, bridal is a big part of that. 20% goes directly to industrial diamond. Why is that? Because diamond is still a very strong material and it's used in machinery and factories. Now, the remaining portion, if you make the maths, is something between 2 to 5%. And so basically this is diamond for investment. And this is where we see a great opportunity. And why is that? If you compare these diamonds with other commodities, let's say with silver, with platinum, with palladium, when you look at those commodities, nowadays the investors holding for those three commodities are around 15 or 20%. Now, if you look at gold, it's 30% of investment holdings. So now I go back to the diamond industry, what I said now, we are lying between 2 and 5%, so there's a real opportunity here to grow. So that's one thing. Secondly, I also see it's a new way of giving accessibility to anyone to enter those kind of goods that were not accessible before. And then, okay, you asked a question about compliance and how we do it. So basically, we partnered with LCX, which is the Liechtenstein crypto exchange, uh, um, uh, crypto exchange, basically has a few licenses. One of these licenses is the physical validator. And the physical validator, you can compare it in the traditional world like a notary. So basically what they are doing and how they are entering into all that chain. So we are purchasing the diamonds from the mine, or from renowned diamond dealers. Then we are tracing all the journey until Liechtenstein, where we send the diamonds to LCX, which will authenticate and validate the assets. And basically, once this is done, we get the stamp of the validation, and then we can lock the asset in a vault, and we can tokenize the asset, where later they will be put on the marketplace for trade, for trade, for ownership, and so on. At the end of the day, last thing that I wanted to add is that Diamonds is an end-to-end platform. So like I said, we are starting the journey at the mine or at the origin where the diamonds are extracted from the ground. We are following up, and traceability is super important to make sure that every asset is traced, that we know where it comes from, that it doesn't come from a war zone or stuff like this. Then we are validating it through LCX, and then it comes into the platform. And basically, the end user is always allowed, or we give them the option to redeem the asset. And when they redeem the asset, then we will ship the asset. And I brought this beautiful box. So when you purchase a diamond, you get that box shipped to you with the beautiful diamond inside. And basically, the NFT itself remains a memory of that diamond.
Great.
Sorry.
No, absolutely. And I know that there's someone else on the panel that also has a marketplace in the sense of connecting consumers to the product. Daniel, would you like to speak about how Palmera is connecting those and maybe any other roles that it plays in tokenization?
Sure. Well, as I said before, one of the main things that I've always seen working with Cardano in the early days and throughout my tenure at IOG was that when you actually go to the farmer, when you go to the source, right, they kind of lay it out for you what really matters. And and there's quite a bit, and we all know there's quite a bit of, a solution looking for a problem thing happening in the blockchain space. And I think that's one of our biggest issues as an industry, is that we have to stop doing that. We have to really face the fact that, look, not everybody's going to be excited about what we're excited about, and so we have to think about the mainstream application of what we're doing in the context of the mainstream. And so the way Palmera has been designed is with that in mind. So yes, the Palmera platform does have an aspect that is Web3, that is blockchain powered, but it's not all about the blockchain, it's about the utility. The utility is helping under digitization, helping market access, and helping transparency through provenance tokenization. Those three main things are what matters to the real world user, to the producer, to the buyer, to the brokers, to the retailers. And very soon we're going to be coming out with Palmera Express, which is actually going to be B2C portion of the platform, which is going to allow many of you to actually try out some of the products and commodities that are available on the Palmera platform, where you don't have to be a business. You just, it could be Patrick, and I can send some nice sweet honey to Patrick from Zambia.
Please do.
And he's gonna. It's great. It's called Jungle Honey. It is produced in hollowed out tree trunks. So the actual beehive is inside a tree trunk. Amazing stuff. This is one of our producers that are on the platform. And so the bottom line here is this producer is really benefiting from all these different things that are on the platform. Like, for example, provenance, right? So provenance, why is it? It's not just about showing that this is the real stuff, right? It's not just about kind of that's a big deal, but there's also something beyond that. There's also things like regulations. For example, the EUDR regulation that has actually been postponed. So the EUDR is European Union deforestation regulation. And so that is actually, it was supposed to go into effect, I believe, this year, and they moved it a year because literally nobody's ready for it. And so what that is it mandates producers of various different commodities. I believe it's corn, soybeans. There's like 6 or 7 major commodities that will require mandatory traceability information to be embedded with the product. And literally 90% of the producers are just not ready for this. Palmyra solves this. Again, that's just one of the things it solves. Through provenance, through tokenizing provenance, that is a solution for them. A year after that, the FDA in the United States is going to require the same exact thing. Anybody who wants to sell to the US within that commodity field is going to have an embedded provenance traceability that follows the product. This scares producers, right? This actually, producers come to us and they're afraid that their market access is going to close off. Well, we offer a solution for that. And again, they don't, I mean, we love it that it's on Cardano. We love it that it's on Ergo. For them, it's just about, yeah, I'm going to be able to keep selling to the US or to Europe and not have to take a dive in my income because I'm going to be compliant. Oh, and by the way, it's like turnkey, right? So really, the bottom line here is this real world impact, these real world applications and utilities that are created because what we did was we workshopped with the producers. We didn't just build it and waited for them to come and just try to explain to them, hey guys, you know what? You really need this blockchain thingy. It's really cool. You know, it's not really magic internet money, it's so much more. It's, you know, we go to these guys and we have workshops with them. We had workshops in Sri Lanka when we were onboarding Ceylon Tea. We had workshops that just finished in Greece with several members of the Zengi team and the Palmyra team were in Greece, workshopping with the producers there, with olive oil producers there. And we just have to listen. You have to listen. You have to understand the problems that they're facing. And then you have to kind of incorporate it in the context of the platform and then say, yes, we have a solution for this. Or no, we don't, but we can. And then you tweak these things. So it's an ever-growing kind of experience of evolution. You're always evolving your product, but the evolution comes from listening to your customer who's just a regular guy, right? A regular girl, regular person that is just looking for a better way to do business, a easier way to reach wider markets, and just in general to not be ripped off.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. I wanted to actually hear from Bennett. I know we were talking about solving problems. There are a mass quantity of them, and I'm curious what the role of stablecoins are when it comes to maybe solving the problems that RWAs may focus or may encounter.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the first obvious thing, right, is if these gentlemen want to send honey to Patrick, they need to settle in some sort of currency, right? And you have to do it on chain. I mean, why would you settle it off chain? And for that, you need stablecoins. So really, the first goal of stablecoin in the tokenization space is to facilitate those trades. Now we all know that most of trades right now are settled in USD. You have definitely a big portion in euro as well. But let's not forget about everything else. And let's not see the future world being only in euro or USD. We're going to require quite a large portion of infrastructure to be built for this exchange in different countries and currencies. And really, that's what we'd like to do, especially at StableMint, where we look at, okay, you have euro, you have USD, crypto trading is fun, you can get yield on your stable coins, but then you have those farmers, you have these industrials, you have all these companies that need to handle whole sort of currencies, whole sort of different treasuries, and for that, this is where stablecoin is going to help. Let's stay on chain, let's keep the visibility on what's happening in this world, in these trades, using stablecoins. I think it's quite clear.
I agree. I know you mentioned obviously these are going to enable the future cases of RWAs, and I would like to open it up to the whole panel as well, and what you see the future of RWAs and maybe how your companies are going to play a part in this future.
Maybe I'll go first, so Dan doesn't like talk for the remaining 30 minutes.
I
I'm kidding.
will.
I'm
I
kidding.
will. No, but I will though.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, so I truly believe RWAs are the thing that's going to make blockchain really mainstream. I always see it as, okay, phase one was everything just on the blockchain, everything just being completely digital and blockchain focused, right? Phase two for me was more with NFTs and actually combining media with on-chain. So like yeah, everything that happened there. I'm a big fan of you know, representing DRM, so digital rights management, as an NFT, actually. So my favorite company on Cardano, Book.io, one of my favorites, you're also all great, is doing that. And phase three for me is really this connection between the real world, the physical world, and the blockchain, because that's what really can make things more global and make them more accessible to everyone. And for me, everything is about accessibility. I want to be able to invest into any asset on the world, essentially. And I want to be able to hold it in my Cardano wallet, and I want to be able to go to Starbucks and pay with, my tokenized granite if I want to, or with my tokenized diamond. And I don't want to have any cash or so left. That's maybe a bit far stretched and a little bit out there, but I truly think that's the future we're going towards. And for us, there's so many projects that we're working with, and it's really amazing to work with all these projects. I think we're really here to enable those projects to come to Cardano and other chains, right? We're cross-chain as well, and we really want to focus on also, the India tokenization platform, because I think that's really interesting, and that's one of those cases where it's an easy sell, right? It's like, okay, I want to invest into India. I can't do it right now. We tokenize it. Now you suddenly can do it. So that's amazing, right? So everyone is hyped for that. We actually sold out the first Granite in like less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And we didn't even do marketing for it. We just dropped it.
Yes.
So
exactly.
yeah, very, very exciting. And yeah, and that's kind of the future I envision.
Yeah.
Over to you before
Yeah.
Dan goes. No, I'm kidding, Dan. All good.
You're not though.
Nah.
So talking about the future, I think it is more accessible to the people. So for example, Granite, which we've launched 2 months ago, Granite is something around $2 to $3 billion market currently. Within a quarter, it did 2 to 3 million market, and people can invest with less than $42.2. So for example, last time we fractionalized Granite, and people could invest into Granite with $42.2. So we've made it accessible to the whole ecosystem, as Patrick just mentioned. So I can enjoy the properties of Granite with $42. So imagine. So for example, Finest already launched gold. So I or anyone can enjoy the properties of gold with 100 or 101, $1 or $2. So that is how accessible it is right now. And this is just the start of it. And we want everyone to understand what real world assets mean, and as he mentioned, real world impact means. So I think the future heads towards that, and people will stop thinking that cryptocurrency or this is internet money.
Right.
Right now, it's granite money, and it's gold money, which people can understand.
Yes.
So it'll get a lot of adoption because of the physical assets, and people will tend to understand it very easy rather than internet money. Now it's going to be real money
Real money.
on internet.
Yes.
For me too, I think that accessibility to products or to assets that were previously non-accessible to anyone. So, in our case, diamonds, but a lot of when you look at the tokenization of real-world assets, a lot of people are talking about financial products as of now, and it takes a big portion of that market. It's maybe 80%, but I see in the future a growth into the physical assets, because people will understand that we talked about traceability, about accessibility to assets that previously were not investable in. And I think this will create an openness to that market. Now, What we try to do also at Diamond, so if you go to the platform, you will see like a regular e-commerce platform. And it's what I said, we have a massive amount of assets today, but we added all this Web3 added value. So one, traceability, but we added also when you are holding an asset, you can earn tokens. So we have a sort of a loyalty program for people who are holding the physical asset. We will reward them like in airline, miles and more, for example. You take a flight in economy, you will gain miles, and your next flight, you will upgrade it to business. And we do the same at Diamonds. So at Diamonds, when you purchase a diamond, you get those free tokens as a reward while you're holding the asset locked in the safety vault. And basically, you can use those tokens to repurchase a new diamond next. And hopefully, we will open to other assets in the future. One thing I wanted to add, sorry, Dan, just kidding. I we are looking also, and I think this will be next year's reward asset tokenization. We are looking at fractionalization, which gives also, like you said, everybody could invest with $42.2 into Granite.
Yes.
We are looking also at high value assets like a pink diamond, for example, or a 10-carat D-flawless diamond that is valued as at $1 million or $1,200,000. You could be able somehow to be a small investor and to say, yes, I'm thinking that this asset will grow with time, and I want to invest into that for $100 or something like this. So I think next year will be an openness for fractionalization, but also for DeFi lending and borrowing stuff, and a lot of exciting stuff coming.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, to your point about financial product, and if I take a quick step back, I think stablecoins were kind of the first killer app in the crypto world, where with real-world impact. And I think it's been clear since kind of the decoupling between when we saw the last the bear market that went down, where Bitcoin went down, and the stablecoin global market cap didn't plunge that much. So there was actually people using them. So that was the first stage. And now I think tokenization is actually the second stage. It's really coming, it's there. And to your point, I think it's starting with the financial product. It makes sense. It's actually starting with fixed income product, which is a market that really needs to have this improvement on the efficiencies and the way people trade fixed income product in general. But I think it's a beta. It's the beta of the tokenization. This is the most straightforward, I would say, easiest step of it. And in the very near future, we're going to see it coming much more to securities, to commodities, and very soon, hopefully, we'll be able to invest, I don't know, $1,000 worth of real estate in Hong Kong and Los Angeles and India at the same time every month as we wish. Now, obviously, one of the biggest challenges will be compliance and regulation. I think that's why the dream of the real estate tokenization that everybody has been talking about for a long time is not here yet. But I think it will catch up. I think it will catch up once the traditional financial markets are on it, that people finally trust this technology. We have some sort of best practices on industry-wise on what type of standard we need to implement. Once this is put in place, then there's definitely a very nice way ahead on tokenization, kind of really anything. And again, I think that's where stablecoins really need to play a big role in. And that's why also I think stablecoins have to be go away a bit from the traditional crypto trading use case and really more look into, okay, what people want to have stablecoin for, what do they want to do, and in most cases it will be participate in the tokenizations.
I love that. You are able to identify actually what users are needing rather than just assuming, and that really will solve so many more problems. Daniel, if you would like to tell us,
I don't know if I can do it.
future?
There's only 2.5 minutes left. Probably gonna have to go over about 30 minutes or so. I hope you guys don't mind. I'll do an a cappella rendering of Ave Maria later on, so this is gonna be worth it.
Can we fractionalize that?
Yeah, we can and we will. Look, like why RWA is exciting. Just bottom line here, right? If we go like really, really high level, really kind of simple. Two things, access and being able to dial in your exposure. It's already been said here, right? it's just, that's attractive to people, right? So it's yeah, you can be exposed to new assets, you can be exposed to assets that you didn't have exposure to just because you just don't have the money to get into it. So that's the access to the assets, and then dialing it in, right? So you dial in your exposure. Institutional investors can do it, retail investors can do it. Retail investors can do stuff that institutional was able to do before, just because now they can dial in a fraction of, like, you don't have to have $10 million to invest into this thing. You can have $1,000 to invest in the thing. And again, that's been said. So yeah, that's just attractive. That's attractive for investors. That's attractive for people who are looking to hedge. Now, beyond that, what are we going to be looking at? Well, I mean, the way I see the whole field progressing is, in a way, kind of like the internet did, right? So I was around back in the old days, because I'm kind of old.
Old.
Yeah. And so back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, it was all about, it was like, oh, I need 50,000 websites, and they don't really do anything, but we just got a website because it's cool. Everything needs a website. Everything needs a web page. It's a web page. It was a web page. Everything needs a web page. We need like 7 different web pages. Because, like, what do they do? Nothing really, but they just have web pages. And then, of course, a bunch of it died. The .com crash happened, and you had the Pez.com scenario, where basically just, what the hell does this thing even do? And why am I investing money in it? Where's the value, right? So I think that we're actually entering a phase right now with RWAs where people understand that this is a great thing for the space. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's already is a lot of noise, and a bunch of it is going to die. Not all real-world asset projects will survive. There's going to be a lot of really lame brain ideas out there, just not going to make it. And there's going to be some great ideas that will make it for decades, and that's what's going to drive it.
And right? I apologize, but our time has ended, and I just wanted to thank everybody for their time and everyone for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.